Good morning and welcome to another episode of the vlog. You join me on a very wet and soggy and miserable day on Mill Lodge. You probably heard me say in the previous vlog that I was going to head out again this October Halloween holiday week. I'm just literally doing an overnight session, probably till tomorrow about lunchtime here on Mill Lodge. I'm down on the peg known as the Rat Hole. When I got here this morning, there was a few day session anglers had arrived and 4 guys bivvied up on the main part of the lake, so I decided this just seemed like a likely spot. A few fish were showing themselves when I was first barrowing the gear around this side of the lake as well, so it seemed like a likely fit. I've had a couple of liners on the left hand rod since putting the rigs into place. 3 nice drops in between dead lilies and bits of weed that you would expect the fish sort of to be held up on at this time of year. Haven't been here since before the start of the summer, so no idea anything about bite time or what's really coming out, but it's just good again to get out somewhere new. I love this peg because you have plenty of water to go at and it's nice and tranquil. To be honest, it's just good to be out, and I'll keep you posted with what happens. Pressure is going below 1000 millibar tonight, down to about 995 tomorrow and into lunchtime. Drops even further towards the weekend, so anybody that's coming out Friday, Saturday could really mop up around the province. But again, fish are fish, and notoriously sometimes even on those low pressure times where you think you're going to absolutely haul, nothing happens, and the days with the high pressure and the direct sunlight are the days that we catch. It's very strange, but we'll see what the time brings and hopefully something to show for our rewards, but just good to be out as always. Well, it's just gone 1 o'clock and the rain's finally eased after about an hour of relentless sort of downpour there. The ground's absolutely saturated. I managed to put the first rod out and then the rain absolutely started teeming it down, and at that point I just decided to continue putting the other 2 rods out onto the spots. Literally what I've done is anywhere I've seen sort of a dying weed bed or the end of a weed bed, I've put the rig up close to that because I think the fish are sitting in that weed, and that's really the plan of attack. Small scoop of bait, just a mouthful to get them to dip down for a feed is all that I've done. I thought I'd come and show you the bait that I'm using on this session. So it smells like digestive biscuits, and it probably looks pretty much like crunched up digestive biscuits as well. It is the 12mm Vitalac boilie with the liquid food that I've had soaking since last night. Some whole, some half, some crumbed. That and some of the Scretton's winter feed pellets. I've went off the halibut at this time of year and onto the Scretton's winter pellets, and then with that as well, on the last vlog you probably seen I had those little freshwater shrimp. I have those in the mix as well. Just as I said, this time of year, as the natural food starts to die off, it's a good way to replenish that source, and the fish do recognise it as something that they'll readily nip down and eat. 3 runny rigs is what I'm fishing. Identical rigs, identical length. I'm using a semi-supple coated braid. It's not self-resetting as much as the sort of boom style fluorocarbon that I'd usually use, but it does the trick over that weed. The only problem is if you do get some sort of aborted take or a lift or a drop, your mind starts to play tricks on you with this, because you're thinking, has that rig actually been done and has it been tangled. But for this situation with the weed the way it is, I just want that to lie as natural as it can on the bottom. So I thought really in this instance that was the best way to go about it. But we'll see what happens. I know the guys that had fish last night have had it off the bridge that I'm fishing this side of. Maybe that different line laying up to that bridge will be enough to do that. I keep looking around me, there's fish topping, but it's just roach, so nothing that exciting. As I say, that there hasn't been really much showing itself. There was a couple of small fish upon arrival here, and that's been about the height of it. But we'll see what the afternoon brings. I think really get a bite to eat for dinner quite early, get the rods out in good time as the light levels start to fall, get the bivvy tidied up and everything done and kind of prepared for this evening, and see where that brings us. Again, what I'm doing on this session, very similar to the last day session. I have the little 9-foot retractable rods with me, the small bait runner reels, although fishing towards weed beds those are locked up, and the same little carbon pod, and it's just such a nice lightweight setup for this venue. It also makes it very easy for stalking, that if you do sort of in the morning seize an opportunity of something else happening, I can lift that, grab the unhooking mat, net and sling, and head around another part of the lake and maybe flick a couple of solid bags out or something like that. But you know, it's still very early days. I hear bite time has been in the early evening, sort of 5:30, 6 onwards, so hopefully we're rewarded with something. What I may do later, I didn't want to do it and disturb the water too sort of soon, but I may have a little lead about the spots and see what I can feel. I might go over to the bridge with my lead and kind of drop it in a few places and see where it is clear and where it is presentable. The diet starts tomorrow. Chicken kebab on chip. Outstanding. Well, good evening everyone. Here we are for the cameras, a lovely little common. Rod absolutely tore off, that right hand rod towards the bridge, so happy with this. It's absolutely soaking, so I want to get him back. Well, greetings from the bivvy. It's about 11:30 in the evening. I had a fish, small common, round about an hour or so ago, an absolute travesty. I sacked the fish just for a few minutes until I got the camera ready to photograph it, and with the amount of rain I just couldn't have the camera out long enough really to try and get a photo, and trying to get the manual focus to focus in the rain as well just wasn't working. So I thought, oh, the heck with it, I'll just as it's a small fish, do a piece for the video side of things. So you'll probably see that small common, that was from the rod, the right hand rod that was down towards the bridge, probably about half a rod length off the bridge. There's a trail gap between the weeds there, but what an absolute event that was. It's so mucky and I'm sloped down like this from where I'm fishing. I had to get my boots on, get down to the rod. At that point the rod was buckled over, pointing towards where I was fishing, locked up. As I was heading down the slope, I tripped. As I got down towards the pod, I fell again, muck everywhere. As I lifted the rod, fell again. So just actually dealing with that fish in itself was a bloody nightmare. But we got there in the end, we got some video footage of it. The fish was only out of the water for a few minutes and back in again. So all in all, you know, things were done right and done well. It was just for me and my own calamities. Nothing went to plan, but at least that's a fish on the bank, and another session where I'm out. It's not a blank. It's not one of the big fish, and that would have been nice. Still plenty of time. You know, I'm imagining in the first light and in the tomorrow, the lunchtime, there's a chance of another run or two. But if anything, I can rest easy and relax tonight knowing that I've had that fish. Strangely, after dinner, I wasn't happy with the drop. I'd originally cast over to where I'd clipped up to, and I think I embedded the hook into a lily. I put it down onto the rod rest, and I thought that wasn't too bad, but I just didn't feel that same solid donk I'd had, even though I'd previously dropped it with a boat. So that in itself made me think, not too sure about this. As soon as I lifted the rod to reel it in after about 15 minutes, I thought, yeah, you know, I could feel the resistance. I was snagged up lightly, but the hook point was obviously into a bit of a lily. I pulled in a bit of weed and the root of the lily. Basically then sent the rod over with the boat back to the spot and dropped it into position. The other two rods tonight I've actually underhand lobbed into position, and those have both went down with a nice drop as well. In the last 20 minutes I have heard a couple of fish lump out to my left, but unfortunately the weed is that thick there that even to fish a gap in the weed there wouldn't be fish safe really. So I've decided not to bother with that, but I'll get up again at first light and see what's happening and see if there's an opportunity to do some damage elsewhere or even in this peg, and we'll take it from there. Well, good morning folks. Little change of plan this morning. Nothing really happening in the other peg, so I decided about 8:30, 9 to start to pack up and come round to the pegs closer to the car. A couple of guys were here on a day session yesterday, and some fish were caught, so thought why not jump in. It had been given to me as a bit of advice, but there was people here yesterday, so that's why I negated coming round here. But we're here now. I've only the rods in the water about 10 minutes. Haven't seen anything. Now this morning round in the other peg, around about 6:30, 7 this morning, I did see a fish lump out twice. Reeled in the middle rod and positioned it over that fish. Give it a good amount of time and nothing occurred, so at least we did try. But I'm going to give it a couple of hours. The weather's not ideal, but at least I've got the cover of a couple of trees above me, so that's pretty good. But we'll see what the morning brings, and if anything, it's just a confidence booster to be somewhere else in another peg, and hopefully one of those rods tear off. You'll maybe see from the footage I have changed it up to a bigger setup just for doing the underhand chucks, and also the density mono that I'm using on those reels is a little bit heavier because there's a lot of weed here and I have been flicking in and out of weed beds, so I just want to have every opportunity to land those fish safely with the slightly beefed up tackle. So we'll give it a few hours, we'll see what happens, and if nothing, sure, at least it's been a nice day. But it sort of feels now that I've packed up and I'm sitting here, it's more like I've had a night and it's another day session, so we'll see what happens. It's getting close to home time. I'm just giving the rods the final few minutes. I've had a couple of liners on the right hand rod, which has kept me wanting to stay a bit longer, but I think, to be honest, I have outstayed my welcome. I had that fish last night on the other peg, so I can't complain. All in all, been a great session. Been rained out, but it's been lovely that for this last sort of half an hour, it's been nice to just sort of sit and enjoy a bit of nature. Thanks again for watching this vlog. If you have enjoyed the video, do give it a wee thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It always helps me see then who's watching the videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.